U.S. Navy sent an additional warship to the Middle East as tensions rise with Iran. Joining us now in an exclusive interview, Secretary of the Navy, John Phelan. Mr. Secretary, it is good to see you.
It's good to see you, Joe. Good to see you, Becky. Thank you for having me back.
We definitely want to talk about Iran, and I don't know how much information you can necessarily give us. I just don't think that the president at this point, even though the hangings were stopped, I still don't think he's finished there. I don't know what finally happens. Assets are moving in that direction. I don't know what his options are. We're all just in wait-and-see mode at this point.
Yeah, look, I think the president's been pretty clear, and I think the president has told Iran that no nuclear. And if they don't really follow that, then I think he's shown you before that he will follow out on his wishes. And at the end of the day, we have the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group there with 6 destroyers and 3 littoral combat ships. It is the most versatile asset in the United States Navy is a Carrier Strike Group, all weather, cruise missiles, electronic warfare, air capability. So I would suggest Iran settle this soon.
And I don't know what that entails in terms of, violently putting down protests, because we know that's still happening, and it's probably worse than what we know, what actually went on. So I don't know whether agreeing to, some concessions for nuclear development is going to satisfy the president in terms of averting additional military action there. Do you?
Yeah, look, those are policy issues, and that's really something that the Secretary of State and the President deal with.
Right.
When the President says, I need assets, that's my job, is to get it to him. And
you're here meeting with investors, and I was thinking about the Navy itself and thinking about what a Navy means to a country. And I know that that's a priority of yours, to get back to maybe what some of people would say we've lost some of our preeminence. And I think World War II, what's the first thing that you would attack for a country if you wanted to get a leg up? You'd attack, and that's exactly what Japan did at Pearl Harbor. And I think about how inextricably the development of new technology for the Navy, how that plays into our economy, the maritime economy, how quickly we're able to deliver on these unbelievably huge projects that it takes, expensive projects that it takes, but we cannot avoid it any longer.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is really the president's vision, which is to reinvigorate the maritime industrial base. The fact is, to be a superpower, you have to be a sea power. If you look at it through history.
There's just no way around it.
No way around it. And we are the dominant Navy, and I think what we're doing is we're having our adversaries.
China's not dominant now, John?
I don't think they're more dominant than us, no. But I think they are catching us at an accelerating rate.
Not for lack of trying.
And so I think the president's identified that. We've let our maritime industrial base atrophy. We can't build things as fast anymore or as good. And so part of the Golden Fleet is really 3 things. It's 1, getting ships into our Navy faster and in a more cost-effective manner. 2, it's to restore the maritime industrial base, create jobs. And 3, it's to change how the Navy does business. We're now open for business, and that's why I was here meeting with investors.
Mr. Secretary, let me just ask, because the Trump administration has looked at a lot of private industry and said, hey, we need to shore up things because of our national defense interests. It happened with rare earth metals earlier this year. All of those rare earths are things that we want to make sure that companies are doing here in the United States. We've lost that for 25 years at this point. But yesterday, all of those stocks that are tied to that collapsed when it looked like the Trump administration was not going to promise a base price for any of these things. It's really complicated because we believe in capitalism. We want that to happen. But capitalism and the way the Chinese have dumped so much money into their industries are why our industries collapsed in some of these areas. How do we compete with a nation state on doing some of these things, but still stick to our capitalist roots? And then if you are going to make sure you are guaranteeing some of these things, how do you keep a long-term promise for that so that companies will actually pour their own money into doing these things without feeling like they're going to lose their shirts on the deal?
Yeah, look, I think it's a very big challenge, right? Because China subsidizes a number of industries, including shipbuilding.
Why all of this stuff happened.
Et cetera. I think at the end of the day, American ingenuity and capitalism, I think that system is much better than a controlled system. But I think we have to create the appropriate demand signals to entice investors to come in and allow them to earn an appropriate return.
And what are those signals? How do you do it?
So for shipbuilding, for example, right, we are going to invest a significant amount of money in shipyards. And that includes wages, modernization, multi-year contracts for building.
I think that's probably the key, multi-year contracts,
Yes.
to say that the business will be here. If you build it, the business will be here. Can that survive a change in an administration? Because these are deals that you probably need more than 3 years to make sure you're going to make the return on your investment.
Yeah, look, I think the good thing is for the Navy is there's real bipartisan support behind the Navy. And I think people understand we need to do it. I personally think, I've said this many times, we spent the last 10 years teaching people to code. We're going to spend the next 10 teaching them how to use their hands. If you look at the economic model of going to college today and what you get getting a job, it doesn't make sense. Going to a vocational school or technical school, which is something else we're looking at doing, which the president's very supportive of, that you can get a real job and make real money.
And by the way, that's AI safe.
Yes.
You don't have a bot that's going to come in and perform better than you are.
That is correct.
John, the president was displeased with certain defense contractors all the way to the point of saying no, cut down on the buybacks and the dividends, because you're so important to national security that you need to be treated differently than a normal private sector company. I'm not sure I totally agree with that, and you say investors need to step up. That would make maybe some investors, which are financing the defense contractors, obviously they're shareholders as well. They're entitled to, if they deserve a dividend, they should get a dividend. If the corporate management thinks buybacks are the way to go, that's what they should do. Have they dropped the ball on building out our infrastructure to supply these weapons? Should they be incurring some of the president's displeasure?
Yeah, I think they should be.
They should be.
Yes, and I think Secretary Hegseth, with the executive order, is really trying to bring them more in line. The fact is, they've invested very, very little capital into their infrastructure, and we've allowed the defense industry to get way too small.
In your old life, you would not have liked hearing this as an investor, right? If you had all your clients in defense stocks, and then they were going to be subject to more supervision or regulation.
So I think there's two ways to look at it, Joe, right? The president also announced, a very, very large budget increase. So what he's basically saying is, get your act together, otherwise we're not going to allocate those deals to you. So the fact is, the defense stocks
it's almost a carrot and stick thing.
That's correct, and I think that's
a little bit of both.
Yes, and that's what we're trying to do. And I think these guys have to.
It's another one of the common sense things that's what the president would. I think he told me that in the interview recently. That I don't. Yeah, I am a conservative. Yeah, I do want this. I do. I am capitalist. I am private sector. But there's times where, I don't know, you're in a different situation, and he would call it common sense.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, these are national security assets, and they have got to build them.
Almost like utilities.
They are. And we're behind on every major program. We're behind. They're way over budget. And it's crazy. And I think he's tired of the performance. And we've rewarded bad behavior. And that's kind of what he's saying. I'm not going to reward bad behavior anymore.